darlings, welcome back. Today I'm so excited to be sharing with you a brand new product from Whimsy Stamps. So this is a new stamp set called Cutie Batootie, and then a brand new product to go with them, as well as some other new stamp sets they have are the NoFuss instant masks. Whimsy Stamps did send me these to try out and to share with you, but all of these opinions are my own and we're going to test them out together. I'll give you my honest thoughts and review. But I was just so excited because these images were so stinking cute. And you guys know I love to make a scene card and I hate to fussy cut. Cutting masks is my absolute least favorite part of my card making process. So this is something that I knew was going to be right up my alley. So we're going to be making a super fun scene card using one of the images, the bat with the two pumpkins, and the coordinating mask that goes with it to make this a really fun Halloween nighttime scene card. I also brought in the new designer paper pack that they came out with, the bouquet. Right, it's like bouquet dots, and then my tried and true Tim Holtz moon masks. So that's everything that we're going to need is right there besides our Copics. I'm starting out by trimming down a piece of 110-pound heavyweight white cardstock to be a little smaller than my A2 card. So it's going to be 5 by 3 3/4. This is going to give me a nice matte right from the green pattern paper, and we're going to even add some black in there later too. I'm going to get my stamp situated in my Misty stamping tool. I held up the mask just to make sure that my placement was feeling right. I knew I wanted the moon popping up right over the little bat and those pumpkins. So once I knew I had a good spot, I just picked that up with the Misty door and then got that stamped down with my favorite Copic coloring friendly ink, which is the Honeybee Stamps Be Creative Intense Black ink. That's always my go-to if I'm going to be Copic coloring. Now this is not Copic paper, and it's been a while since I colored on anything besides my Copic Express It paper, but I have to tell you, this paper did pretty good. So as long as you have a smooth, like heavyweight good cardstock, you can still color, no problem. So I pulled off this repositionable pre-cut NoFuss mask. And you can see it went down pretty easy. I got it in like my second-ish try. And just pressed it down really well. And we're going to be adding a ton of ink to this, and it held up so beautifully. So I'm getting my Make Art Station set up. I just fold a piece of printer paper over and kind of tuck my metal sheet into it. That way I can lay my magnets right on top and it holds everything in place. I grabbed my Lawn Fawn grassy border stencil to give just a little bit more texture to this. I didn't want it to just be a flat hill. I like the grassy edges. And I'm going in with some Catherine Pooler inks. First, I went in with Martini, and then in a minute, I'm going to bring in a bit of a deeper, more blue-based green that is called Deck the Halls. And I just thought this combination was really fun and still brought a lot of vibrancy and is going to coordinate really well with the green pattern paper that we're going to pull in from that new Halloween pack at the end. The reason I picked the Lawn Fawn stencil is because it comes with its own mask. So you just slide the stencil down and you can cover the grass. I'm not going to lie, this was my second time making this card. The first time I did all of my ink blending and then I messed up the moon. And I tried to fix it and I ended up tearing the paper. So the first time I used a different grass stencil and I wasn't happy with it. So second time's a charm, except that you'll see that I had a hiccup, but we'll get there when we get there. I'm creating this really fun nighttime sky combining different purples and blues. So I'm going in with the Glam purple ink first. And then I'm going to bring in this Juniper mist, which is this really beautiful very deep blue. And I love the combination that this makes. And then right around the moon, I had gone in with that lavender shade first. And I just think it helps to create just a hint of a halo right around the moon. I love all of the dimension and the fun color that it brings to this Halloween sky. So before I took my moon mask off, I went in with my Dr. P.H. Martin's White Bleed Proof, and I added a little bit of Lawn Fawn Stardust, which is like a liquid shimmer, and a little bit of water, and then splatter that on with a small paintbrush. And then here is mistake number, 3 million. I should have let this dry a little bit longer, because when I went to stencil in my moon shapes and like add in my color, you'll see right here-ish, I smear one of those stars. There you go. But it's okay, because we're just going to pop our sentiment there. One of our sentiments is going to go right in that spot. So I didn't give up. I just kept pushing. And I laid down a little bit of this soft, like shea butter, buttery yellow color first, and then went in with the crater layer of my stencils and added all of that detail to the moon. Then I just used the tip of an X-Acto knife just to help me pick up the very edge of my mask, my NoFuss mask. And I just took my time, really gently working my way across. And you can see, even though I added all of that ink and water and splatter and all the things, this mask held up perfectly and is pretty inky. But I do think if I just needed to stamp something around it, I could use it again for sure. So if you were going to stamp a bunch of different images into your scene, you could use them many, many times. The more ink you get on it, like covering it like that, the harder it's going to be to use again. But if you're just stamping images with black ink, you can use them multiple times. And you do also get 4 sheets in each set of masks. So lots of opportunity to make lots of cards and lots of scenes if that is the kind of card making you like to do. Like I said, I know these probably won't be for everyone. You can 100% still do like stamping onto masking paper or a full stick post-it. But I know that like long-term holding up and with a lot of ink, this would definitely hold up better for me than my post-its do. So, when I filmed this, as I told you, this was already my second go. And then I finished coloring that first pumpkin that I showed you. And then I looked at my camera and I realized it shut off. So instead of just leaving you hanging and telling you how I colored the other pumpkin and my bat, I decided to recolor it. So I stamped out a second one of these, and now I'm going in with the same colors to show you what that process looked like, coloring in my pumpkin, going in with my E markers and my YR markers. I have all the caps on the screen for you, and I will try to have them all listed in the description below for you as well. So I color in all of my pumpkins very similarly. Sometimes I switch up the colors, but my overall approach to adding in those shadows is very consistent. I like to add my shadows kind of around each like bulb of the pumpkin, and then adding in a lot of shadow and then like a circular or oval shape to the very center one. I think just really helps to give it that added texture and dimension and make it pop. And then for my bat, instead of doing a normal like warm gray or cool gray, I decided to bring in my E70 markers, which have this really fun almost purple kind of to them, even though they are brown, and I love them for bats. So I am shading in the ears, which are these huge, beautiful, goofy ears that I absolutely love, and adding in a lot of depth along those wings, keeping as much of the shadow and like hair texture to the outside of the face. I really wanted to keep the inner part of the face where the eyes are a little on the lighter side so that I could really let that expression, his little expression, kind of pop and stand out. I didn't want him to lose all that personality. And then instead of a R20, I brought in an R80 family marker. I think that's R85, just to add a little bit of extra color. There's so much vibrancy in this card that I didn't really want anything pastel, because even that like buttery yellow in the moon feels so warm and golden to me compared to everything else, that I just wanted everything to really pop. And to go along with that, this was already feeling really whimsical and fun, so I decided to add in a bunch of white gel highlights, more than I would normally do. And you can see that just kind of bumps up the like cute factor. So I wasn't sure which of these pattern papers I was going for, but once I saw this against that green and how it tied in with the grass, I mean, I kept flipping through, but I had a feeling from the beginning that it was going to be the green. So especially because it has an ombre to it, I'm going to flip it and put that darker part up at the top so that the grass and the green of the background don't completely compete. But that is also why I ended up bringing in an extra layer with this black cardstock. So I'm trimming this down as if it's a regular A2 so that I have the other part of my paper that I can use later. But then I'm going to trim this down so it is just barely bigger, like 1/8 of an inch bigger than my scene panel. I'm going to add my Tombow permanent adhesive to the back and then get that matted, so we just have this tiny little skinny sliver of black that's going to help to ground this, give it enough separation from the background that everything makes sense. And again, I think anytime you can tie in a little bit of extra black into a Halloween card, it just pulls it all together. So the last step was adding in my sentiments, and I knew that I wanted to, because my original plan was to add the sentiment to the bottom, but then we also had that smear to compete with. So I ended up bringing in an additional sentiment from another Whimsy set that I bought myself before they even ever reached out to me about the masks. So that you'll see more of that set later. It's this really cute little witch set. I'll still put it down in the description in case you want to take a peek. So that is the hugs and like Halloween hugs and kisses sentiment, but the cutie Batootie was just too cute from this little set. So I heat embossed both of those sentiments with the Pink and Main Tangerine embossing powder, and every time I use this, I like forget in between uses that this embossing powder smells like candy. I don't know what is in it that smells like that. None of my other embossing powders from Pink and Main or any other company have a smell. This one smells so strongly of candy, like orange candy. It just makes me laugh every time I use it. So I trimmed down my sentiment, and I'm going to end up trimming this with scissors, like fussy cutting that sentiment even smaller. But I wanted the bottom one to be a banner. So I'm going to cut that straight across, and then we're going to go in and cut in like a little fishtail on it. Super easy and simple, and I didn't mind having to fussy cut those because I didn't have to fussy cut my mask. So here we go. I trimmed it down on one side. I make a cut down the center, and then I just work from one corner to the center point and then the other corner to the center point. And that's how I do my little fishtail banners. And now I'm just cutting the top corners of this sentiment so they're just curved and a little closer and tight in on the words. And I love how this orange and black pops off of that moon and the sky, and the same off of the grass. So a little liquid glue, and I just got those put into place, and that is this card panel complete. I would just pop this onto an A2 side folding card base and be ready to go. So I hope you enjoyed this. I hope you love this new product as much as I do, especially if you are a scene maker or an ink blender. Thank you so much to Whimsy Stamps for thinking of me, and I hope you guys will show them some love. Thank you so much for coming to hang out with me. I hope you guys have an amazing day. I will see you back here tomorrow with a very color heavy video. And until then, happy crafting.